Hey guys. Oh, that's cool. The screen's down there. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I haven't touched a microphone in a long time, so just apologies if I'm a little weird up here. Um, all right, so it moves. Um, yeah, I really have two goals here, standing in front of y'all. One, I want to talk about preventing oversaturation, right? Like, we see all those Capital One ads all the time. We're going to see a bunch during March Madness. Um, and then two, I want to wake everyone up and get everyone excited for the roundtables. That's like my favorite part of these events. I want to, there's a few to choose from. I'm moderating one right after this. But get ready to share some off-the-record thoughts. So, gonna throw out some stuff for y'all to think about, and then we're gonna hit the ground running on that right before lunch, right after this. All right. So yeah, again, so in terms of my topic, preventing oversaturation. We see a lot of ads. We know that overfrequency is an issue. And with how many streaming options exist out there, it's really a problem for everyone here. So we're going to talk about a case study about how we were able to expand and gain incremental reach with frequency management strategies. And then I wanted to just take a quick poll here for funsies. Just a show of hands, how many people here only subscribe to one platform, one streaming service? So no one. Show of hands, how many of y'all subscribe to two? No, okay. How many of y'all, just one person, how many of y'all how many of y'all don't know how many you subscribe to? You just kind of lost count, right? That's pretty much everyone here in the room. Well, all right. That's why we have this issue. So how bad is it? This chart really kind of says it all. So when you think about overlap, the average household, I think there's a number out there that's been floating around. Average household has 3.4 streaming services. So, what is that fourth one? Not really sure. Some people, they watch, Last of Us, they're done with HBO Max or Max, and then they cancel it. That's why people don't know how many they have. But if you're a brand that wants to, hit a sweet spot of frequency, and you work with a direct partner, and you have a frequency cap of 5 per month, well, you have, let's say your frequency cap is 3. Well, if someone's watching Discovery Plus and Fox and Disney and NBCU and Warner Media, 3 times 5, that's 15. You're getting a frequency of 15, right? And a lot of brands don't want that. So how do we solve for that? This next stat here, the chart kind of says it all. There's a ton of overlap everywhere you go. So 68% of households were reachable through more than one inventory source. 15% of households are reachable by more than 10 sources. So yeah, look at this chart. There's overlap everywhere, all across the place. So what can actually be done here? What can we do about it? So from a case study standpoint, I worked with a service brand that ran a ton of linear, a ton of direct I/O, a ton of programmatic, lots going on. However, we did a research study, and we realized that our sweet spot from a brand lift standpoint is 5 to 10. So as a need-based product, this is a brand that someone needs them or they don't need them. So if they don't need the brand, we'd rather spend our next dollar reaching someone else. So instead of reaching a household in an 11th time, we'd rather spend our next dollar reaching a net new household. So that's ultimately what we were trying to solve for. So what we did was we took a hard look at what our direct I/O partnerships were, and then we attempted to consolidate those and basically purchase them programmatically. That way we could instill frequency management on a campaign by campaign basis. So Instead of working with a partner and doing frequency caps by network, we're able to have campaign-wide frequency capping, which the DSP would kind of handle. So once we did that, what were the kind of the results here? $6.4 million were diverted from reaching an 11th household, and instead reinvested and diverted to reach a net new household. So from a dollars and cents standpoint, 145% of our budget was diverted to reach a net new household. So we saw exceptional results from using programmatic CTV to expand our reach. And when we look at it from a household standpoint, from a purely volume standpoint, we saw an enormous amount of incremental reach. So 20.1 million additional households were reached, with our modest CTV budget. Originally, we were going to reach 15.3 million households, but that turned to a much bigger number, and we were able to increase our household reach by 43%. And then here is where we're really able to cook with gas. Working with a DSP, depending on which DSP you work with, you're able to utilize machine learning so that we could actually optimize to cost per unique reach. So what you're looking at here is essentially the algorithm within the DSP. They're taking a look at what the cost per unique reach is by network, and then making real-time optimizations to reallocate spend by network to the partners that are driving the most incremental reach or the most efficient reach. So from what you can see here, our initial allocation had higher allocation to Tubi, but for whatever reason, Tubi was more expensive to reach a household. We're looking at 6 cents to reach a household here. So then after we beta tested this algorithm to optimize to cost per unique reach for machine learning, you'll see that the spend started to shift more towards Hulu and less towards Tubi. So, sorry, Tubi. So now, with everything that I just said, we're thinking, why not just put every single dime into programmatic OTT, since you can have all this great frequency management and AI and algorithms to just buy everything efficiently. I didn't have any fun videos or teasers, and I know this video is an eyesore, but I hope that, or this slide is a bit of an eyesore, but hopefully it'll help you if it isn't like shaking like that. Yeah, so why not put everything into programmatic CTV? So essentially, there's going to be some trade-offs, and I think the point I want to make is when you are all the video investment decisions that we make, there's just so much nuance, and every brand has different objectives. If we are purely thinking about reach and reach only, then maybe you want to put a lot of it into programmatic OTT because you unlock that frequency management. However, there's going to be some trade-offs. So when you buy on a PMP, on a private marketplace basis, you're going to typically have the highest incursion of fees, right? Because the DSP has to make their cut. If you're working with a trading arm, they're going to charge commissions, whatever that is. When you don't buy on a direct basis, when you buy with a direct partner, you're able to unlock things like custom sponsorships, right? And we heard about contextual targeting this morning. If your brand really cares about where you're running, direct partnerships kind of help you make some of those choices. Like sports streaming, you want to be in those premium environments, and that gets a little more difficult to do when you're buying programmatically. Guaranteed delivery against specific publishers. That's when you really want to make sure you're running in the most premium environments. With programmatic, I think we still have an issue of transparency, where I think till this day you might have an output of where your ads are running network-wise, but you don't know what shows you're running on, or it's kind of pulling teeth to find anything beyond beyond like network delivery. And then from a fees standpoint, you work with a lot of advertisers that are really allergic to fees, and they just want the most premium they want the most efficient CPM as possible. So when you work on a direct basis, you're able to get typically the lowest CPMs, and that's something that we kind of face at Horizon next. So then here at the end, how can you really measure your efforts? What you're looking at here is we worked with a measurement, holistic video measurement solution. I know there's a lot out here, including iSpot that's here today. But I really recommend spending the extra dollars to invest in a holistic video measurement solution, because you're able to then get some insights on how your cost per unique reach is trending over time, kind of using a household as a common denominator. But you're also able to look at things like overlap. So what you're seeing here is, I think, some really interesting reporting where you're able to see the network by network overlap, but you can also look at it from a tactic by tactic basis too. So what you'll see here in the dark colors here in the middle, that's our programmatic tactic, that kind of dark bar. So as you can see, the overlap with the direct partners, can be pretty high. So when I'm looking at this reporting, I'm willing to accept 25% is kind of my benchmark for what's acceptable to me from an overlap standpoint. But when you see overlap is fairly high for partners like Fox News and CNN, you're going to see typically higher overlap with some of the news partners, and higher frequency as well. But you can consider bringing some of that direct I/O into programmatic. That way you can implement that frequency management tactic, so that you can have a better handle of how many times your ads are running. And then from there, you can do all sorts of things like frequency bucket testing. So looking at the brand awareness lift based on frequency that occurred at 1, looking at conversion rate that happened at a frequency of 1, 2, 3, and onwards. So I think it's really important to take a hard look at what your frequency is, so that you can gain those insights and overall prevent oversaturation. And with all that being said, that all of this is occurring outside of walled gardens like YouTube and Facebook, Meta. So that's kind of another element to it as well. This is your frequency from a streaming standpoint, but I would task partners out there like iSpot, VideoAmp, ComScore, Samba to try to pull in that reporting and that view from a walled garden standpoint, so that we can get a more holistic view of where our video is running. And then from there, I think we can really unlock a whole bunch of things like true uncontaminated incrementality testing. But I think that's another topic maybe for next year. So yeah, with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Any questions for Lance?
Have you found any? Oh, sorry. This is Michelle Wilson at McKinney. Have you found any similarities in like what the ideal frequency is by like category or client, or is it always going to vary a little bit?
Yeah, it's definitely going to vary. So for a need-based product, you definitely want to spend your next dollar reaching a new household if you know that consumer doesn't need that product. But if you're perhaps a DTC, where you're looking for, you might look for higher frequency because this consumer is on the fence about whether or not they want to buy your product or not. Then you would kind of segment it by prospecting and retargeting. So retargeting can obviously bring your frequency much higher than maybe others without a retargeting tactic. Yeah, it really kind of just depends. And I think that doing the research studies and the conversion report measurement by frequency bucket kind of helps you determine what your frequency sweet spot's going to be. So for my brand, it was 5 to 10, but for others, it might be less than 5, or it might be 10 to 15. So I definitely encourage testing to see where your frequency sweet spot is.
Hey, Lance. What's up? I'm Nick Kunalakis from AdTheorent. Just a question for you, bud. You're kind of talking about frequency in terms of maybe the life of the campaign.
Yeah.
Have you thought about it or considered like timing as part of frequency too? So hour by day, et cetera, and how do you control or think about that rather than just 5x in a month period?
Yeah, great question. So the brand that this was for, our campaigns were quarter long, so we're talking about frequency from a quarter standpoint. But I think that's definitely from a frequency management standpoint, that's definitely part of the nuanced equation. If you're an auto, that's a super long purchase cycle. I think that the frequency that you have could also be heavied up based on a potential tentpole alignment, or if based on seasonality. But I think that when you are thinking about frequency, you gotta plant the flag somewhere. It's going to be a moving target. But I would if you're looking for somewhere to start, I would think about it perhaps to start off on a month by month basis. Frequency capping by week can be kind of limiting. Although if you're a brand that really if you are spending a lot in retargeting and you're trying to close the sale, then frequency capping by week and by day might make more sense for your brand. If you're going for brand awareness, maybe a longer stint might make sense. But if you're really trying to close the sale for purchase, then maybe a shorter time frame kind of makes sense. You also have to think about how much clutter there is. So if someone saw your ad 30 days ago, how likely are they to remember that? So that's another part of the equation as well.
All right. Well, Lance, and as he mentioned, he's going to be leading a roundtable. So if we have any more questions for him, you can find him there. So thanks again, Lance. You're awesome.
Thank you.